Okay, so going to run you through a couple of examples around where Microsoft's Business Central, Wild Tech, and Software Spaces can really support the construction and real estate industry across the customer journey that you see here to solve a lot of the common challenges that we typically see. So I'm going to break this up into two sections. The first section that you're watching at the moment is going to be all around Wild Tech's BuildBOT 365 and how that can integrate with Business Central. So Wild Tech have created an AI bot that is able to read architecture drawings and then automatically create a bill of material within the ERP. So significantly reducing the time to quotation, but also improving the speed at which we can then get invoices out to customers as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into the BuildBOT and I'm going to upload a site plan. So I'm going to open up my files, come into here, and we're going to select the site plan that you see on the screen. So what's going to happen in the background, the BuildBOT is going to start analysing that drawing and working out the dimensions, the different requirements in terms of the items that will need to be applied in order to complete a project like this. And so what you can see here is that it started to analyse the different floor plans. We've got the ground floor, the first floor, and then down the bottom, we have the bill of materials. So the BuildBOT has gone through and identified different types of lengths, dimensions that are required, and different types of windows that we would implement here, both on the ground floor and the first floor. So if I go back into BuildBOT, what you'll see is that the AI bot has started to identify some of those specific dimensions. So you can see here we have a wall, a window, and then we can also start to teach the bot as well. So if I select a certain area, we can then start to tag that in terms of whether that's a wall, a door, or window. And so we can start to teach the bot as well, so that when future drawings start to get processed, it's automatically going to identify a particular item or dimension or requirement that is going to be needed again for that particular project. So it can actually start to get a lot more intelligent. So what I'm going to do is that when I then click on the Create Bill of Materials button on the right-hand side, what's going to happen in Business Central, if I come into the system, is that we're going to have all of our items set up in the background. So if I search for Windows, straight away, as you can see, what the BuildBOT's going to do is start automatically looking for these items in our inventory list. And so we've got our items set up here, as you can see. So we've got all of our costings, dimensions attached to that. And so without any manual intervention, as a sales order processor, project manager, or relationship manager in this sense, all I have to do is click into my sales orders. And what you'll notice is that there's already an open sales order for VC construction customer in this sense. And so there's already a due date that's aligned. We have a document date as well. But then what you'll see down the bottom is that we already have all of our quantities, our items identified, how much we need to ship, how much we need to invoice, and all the typical type of data that you'd expect within an ERP. But I've been able to create that sales order without doing anything at all by uploading that site plan to the BuildBOT. And so when it comes to actually invoicing customers, we have two different options here. Firstly, we can build in some invoice automation if that is a preference. And so we can create the sales order, automatically invoice that out to the customer. Or we can take a second approach where if there are certain approval checkpoints or workflows in place and that someone actually has to approve that, we can also automatically create that. And so I'm going to click preview. And what we'll see here is that sales order. So we can have a little read through that just to make sure that everything looks accurate. And so, yeah, in this case, that's all fine. And so from here, we can then send that out directly to the customer, or we can send that for approval, depending on the checks there. Okay, so just to give you an idea of what we've done, we've uploaded a site plan to the BuildBOT 365. That's automatically read that drawing and identified the requirements needed in order to complete that project. It's automatically gone into Business Central, looked in our items, and created a sales order with the right quantities and pricing on. So massively reducing the time in order to get that quotation back out to the customer. But then secondly, if we did want to further automate some of this process, what we can then do It's also automate some of the invoicing as well. So just to give you some context there around how we can save some manual effort that we typically see involved in that process there.